Have you ever said negative things to yourself, either out loud or silently?
On today's show, we're going to be talking about the importance of ending negative talk and some strategies to help you change that. Stay tuned.
Welcome, everybody, to the Manifestation Mindset Show, where we teach you and give you tips on the mindset of manifesting, overcoming emotional challenges, and breaking through limitations. We are your hosts. I'm Dr. Aaron Garcia.
And I'm Veronica Mendez, and we go live every Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific. And you can find us on Facebook and on YouTube. So if you're new, make sure to follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our channel. And to find all our previous episodes, also to get notified of when we go live. And so if you want to get notified, click on the bell icon and turn on the live notifications. Also, if you enjoyed today's show and if you know of someone who can benefit from it, feel free to share it and give us a thumbs up.
Absolutely. And if you're watching us live today, we'd love to hear from you. Let us know where you're tuning in from. You can type those here into the comments. And also let us know your thoughts. If you have any questions throughout the show, place those here also in the comments, and we'll get throughout today's show. But before we begin our topic of today, we always like to start off our show with our inspirational moment with Veronica.
So inspirational moments is when I like to read something inspirational, whether it's a quote from a book, writing after meditation. And today I'm going to read from this book. It's from Paramahansa Yogananda, and it's called Journey to Self-Realization. And this is volume 3. Here's the picture, if you can see that. You can find these books online or at the Self-Realization Temple gift shops, but if you don't have one around you, then your best bet is getting it online. So the title of this little paragraph is called Think Away Undesirable Thoughts, and it kind of goes with what we're talking about today. It says, start the new year with the resolve to face your bad habits and conquer them. Take the bull by the horns, so to speak, and tame it. Your bad habits are the satanic influence that has kept God out of your life. Or you could say the negative influence that has kept God out of your life. Good habits can be compared to good people. When they look through the window of your mind, they see they cannot get into your life because the chairs of your consciousness are occupied by bad habits. Evict the undesirable occupants and let the noble ones in. You don't need the help of anything or anyone else to change yourself. You just change your consciousness. Very simply, all you have to do is think away the thoughts you want to destroy by replacing them with constructive thoughts. This is the key to heaven. It is in your hands. So there you go.
All right. That's the key. And that ends today's show.
That's all you have to do.
But there's a lot of great wisdom that he speaks in his books. And just bear in mind, if you guys are watching on YouTube, we might be having a little bit of a glitch. I'm not entirely sure, but we're going to keep going until something says otherwise. Otherwise, we're doing pretty good. But there is always a lot of great wisdom. And these are books that are just collections of his talks that he's done over the years. And he was given a lot of this wisdom, started in the 1920s when he came to America to, I think, when he passed away in the early 50s. But a lot of that holds true still to today. And the things that we think our habits, the habits that don't serve us. And part of those habits are habits of thought as well.
Yeah, and those habits start, from a very young age. And it sometimes will start with what children hear. Like if they hear the parents speaking negative to themselves, even to others, or if the parents speak negatively to the child, like, oh, you're a dummy, or you're this and you're that, and it's all negative, then the child is growing up thinking possibly that they're a dummy, or they're not smart enough, they're not good looking enough. And that's where it all starts. Also, it actually can go back to the womb when the mom is thinking negative thoughts, feeling negative emotions, and then the baby's developing in this energy.
Yeah, because when the baby's developing, they're not really developed a conscious mind yet, but they are all feeling. And I've worked with many patients with this, with pregnant women, and also women have given birth, and kind of observing the different attitudes and behaviors of the children. And really, it's the environment and whatever the baby's environment the baby is growing up in the womb, that baby is feeling everything. It can hear the conversations. It can feel whatever the mother's going through. The mother's really happy and loving. The baby can feel that it feels warm. If the mom's under stress, if the mom's in fear or angry, well, the baby picks that up too, and it goes into our nervous system, and it's subconscious. And we've worked with clients of ours where they don't understand why they're getting triggered by certain things and why they talk to themselves these ways, why they put themselves down. And sometimes it goes back into the womb when we really explored, and they can really feel the energy of being in that environment, and we help them to release that.
Yeah, so it's very important, especially if you're preparing to have a baby, to have like good loving thoughts during that process, even after, and because the child definitely picks up on that energy, and so it's like we have to be aware of how we talk to our children, because that can develop into negative self-talk, and it's negative self-talk is what people will start to attract in their life, because if they're talking to themselves negatively, then they're going to be attracting negative things, negative experiences into their life.
And what does that look like? What does it sound like when we're talking about negative self-talk? It's what we're saying to ourselves. I know we mentioned earlier in our intro is we either say it to ourselves out loud, or we can say it to ourselves in silent, in the quiet of our own mind. And how many people have ever said to themselves, "Oh, how stupid of me to do that," or "I'm not good enough," or "I'm not smart enough to do this," or "I look this way, I look that way." That's all the negative self-talk. And what happens is that's also other term for that is called autosuggestion. And Napoleon Hill, in his book Think and Grow Rich, wrote a whole chapter just on autosuggestion. And it's what you say to yourself, and you're actually programming yourself to live out what you're saying, if it's said often enough. And so there's suggestion by other people, parents, peers, media, news, and what you hear about things, what people say about you, but then what you say about yourself is actually more powerful.
Yeah, and have you ever heard someone, or maybe yourself, has said something like, "Oh, my back is killing me," or "Oh, this is killing me, my job is killing me," things like that. That is also negative self-talk, even though you're saying it in a way that it's not really killing you, but it's like maybe creating some difficulties in your life. But that's what you're telling yourself, and what, maybe down the line, what are you going to be attracting into your life? Maybe if you say your back is killing you, you never know. Maybe you might be creating something within your back, your spine, that will eventually lead to that, and you don't want that.
Years ago, we had a friend that we were working with, and it was something came up. I think it was with a health issue, or he was feeling stuck somewhere in his business and his life. And one thing that we discovered from him was, and it was a story he told us, was when he was in school, a lot of his teachers, told him that he was a dummy, and they called him stupid, and he can vividly remember the phrase that they used to call him, and calling him stupid throughout the years. And what he said was, well, he always thought he was stupid because that's what everybody told him, and so he didn't do so well in school. But the thing is, like, he didn't even really try. And then later on, he got involved with sports, and he realized that he was a really great athlete. And he played baseball, played football, and was going to go to college. Could even be part of the pros. And when he went to college, he mentioned there was one day that he made a decision that he was going to be smart, and he studied and actually started getting really good grades in college. And it was just a belief system. It wasn't that he was stupid. It was like people were telling that. So he lived out that program. And imagine that if you believe that you're stupid with something, do you even try? Even try to do any better than you do? But even if you try, the programming is going to keep telling you that, and ways you'll forget about things. It doesn't matter, but that's how that works.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, because if you go back to like what your parents used to tell you when you were kids, some parents might have said a lot of positive things, and then there's others that might have not, might have said negative things. And For me, my mom and dad used to say, like, to all of us, if we did something that, say we spilt something or we broke something, and they would call us burritos, and that means like kind of like donkey, but kind of meaning that you're dumb, pretty much. And it's something that's not positive. And I just recently I was talking to my sister, and she said growing up she felt dumb, and in school like she struggled because of that. And I think for me, I think I wanted to prove my parents wrong, so then I got good grades, and always striving to do better. But um, if I didn't agree with something in my mind, I would say I'm going to prove you wrong, and that was just me though. But I guess with some things it could go in that direction of believing what someone else says.
Yeah, so that's the importance of the negative self talk is if you find yourself doing something like that, but you have to be aware of it. That's the
Yeah.
first thing is you have to be aware of when you're talking to yourself in a negative way. And sometimes people think, oh, I'm just joking around, but really, it's like your subconscious mind doesn't understand the difference between a joke and what's reality.
Hmm.
And so it's like the more you say it, the more you program. Once in a while, you can get away with it, but if you do it often, you'll start to run that program. So we want to stop that in its tracks and catch yourself. Catch yourself when you're saying something bad about yourself. Maybe you make a mistake, and do you berate yourself for that? Is, well, you could say things like, I made a mistake. I will do better next time. Or I will, maybe I don't know something. Rather than saying you're stupid, you can say, I'm not really skilled or know too much about this subject. But if I choose to, I can learn as much as I can. I can study. I can become better at that, because in some way we're all not good at something. We can't be good at every single thing, but we can if we choose to learn the skill. We learn to remember the information and the knowledge. We just have to put more time and effort into that. And so you really have to catch yourself on that.
Yeah, and you can learn anything really, because there's so much information out there online in books that if you really wanted to study something, you can. So it's like maybe there's something that you've always wanted to learn, but you just never did, and it's never too late to look into that and study. And the information is out there.
Yeah. And before we continue, just want to say hello to some people that are watching with us today. We have Gil, who's joining with us. He says, Buenos dias.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. He also says, Happy New Year to you and your family. Yeah, Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah,
This is
our
I
first
didn't even
show.
say Happy New Year. This is the first show
Happy New
of
Year.
2022.
I forgot my little poop.
Your little boop.
Yeah.
And if you guys are just tuning in with us, you're watching Manifestation Mindset, and we are your hosts. I'm Dr. Aaron Garcia.
And I'm Veronica Mendez, and we go live every Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific on Facebook and on YouTube.
And you can find all our channels right here. These links below here on YouTube is aaronandveronica.com. Make sure you guys go and subscribe to that channel to watch all of our previous and future episodes that we have here on the Manifestation Mindset. And so we're talking about negative self-talk and how do we end that? Because again, it can really mess up a lot of things in our life. It can also, think about it. It's what you say about yourself in regarding relationships and how you talked about yourself and with your business and money and finances. All of that stuff makes a big thing. And how do you talk? But you catch yourself. Be aware of what you're saying. You find yourself, talking in limitation, like there's not enough in the world or there's a lack of. When is that true? And so we have to sometimes evaluate what our beliefs and the things that we say, and get factual information on that.
Yeah, and sometimes like when you tell yourself, "Oh, I couldn't do that," and I've said this before, like, "Oh, I couldn't do that," but then when I think about it, I'm like, "Okay, it's not that I couldn't do it; I just don't want to do that." So
That is a big
there's
difference.
a difference because
We could climb Mount Everest.
yeah, I just don't want to.
We just don't want to.
Yeah, so there's different things like that you can, it starts with the awareness of okay, what am I really saying here, and you sometimes will catch yourself saying negative things to yourself about yourself, and it's when you catch yourself, it's like, okay, like this needs to change, and then reinforce it with something positive and start telling yourself positive things. And maybe something that can help would be to put um, you can put sticky notes in certain parts of the house and with positive affirmations, things that you want to change. Maybe you're aware that you always tell yourself that, oh, you're so dumb. Then put somewhere, around the house or in different areas, oh, you are smart. And,
Hmm.
things like that where you see it and then it reinforces you to think about, okay, I'm smart, and tell yourself these things every single day.
And that's the importance of, and what you're talking about is affirmations. And what are affirmations? It's trying to change the conversation that's going on in your mind. You're now saying things that are more positive, that you're trying to, feed that to your subconscious. And a lot of people, it can get a bad rap with affirmations because you're dealing with an old programming. And when you're trying to say something in an affirmation that negates what the subconscious mind believes, it might seem like you're telling yourself a lie. But the concept behind it is to repeat it over and over again until that sinks in. If you just say it once or twice or a few times, it doesn't really click. You have to constantly say it until you start to believe what you're saying. And that is the power of affirmation. But you have to ask yourself in different questions. And a lot of times it is questions. And ask yourself more empowering questions rather than saying like, why am I so dumb, or why am I so bad at certain things? You can say like, well, switch around. Like, why am I so good at these things? Why am I, you know, why am I so smart? Why am I so good at this? And you'll find that you'll start to look for an answer. And so change the conversation that's going in your mind. It's like, or rather than saying, I can't do this, how could I do this? What is a better way for me to accomplish this task that I'm trying to do?
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say is like if you don't know how to do something, there's always, solutions online and information out there that will teach you. And we can't know everything, like Aaron mentioned earlier, because then if we did, we would stop learning, we would stop growing as a human. So every time we learn new things, it's like our brain expands and it creates those new neural pathways and it just makes us smarter. So there's always room for improvement.
Always room for improvement. And so one is when we're saying negative things to ourselves. Again, I'm not good enough. I'm dumb. I'm too skinny. I'm too tall. I'm too short. I'm too fat. All these things can come to everybody's mind, and we probably said it at least once or twice to ourselves. And there could be a long list of other things that we might say, and it's like you hear things from other people, you hear things from the media, and then if you start to say exactly what they're saying, it's like what you were saying before. People said, "Oh, you can't do that." Well, I'll show you. I'll do something different. That's counteracting what other people are saying, and so you're creating a different attitude or belief system in your subconscious mind,
Yeah.
rather than saying like, "Oh, you guys are right. I can't do it."
Yeah.
That's like believing what other people are saying. But you are a spirit living in this physical existence, and you are capable of doing so much more than you think you know. And it's believing that, it's understanding that, and if you can cultivate that, there's so many more things that you can accomplish and you can do. But you have to tell yourself things differently.
Yeah, and the first thing is when is having that awareness that we talked about earlier is being aware of what you're telling yourself, what you tell others as well, because when you talk negative about other people, there's really something within you that you don't like about yourself. Like people have a if they're jealous about someone else and they're pointing out everyone's flaws, there's something within you that you don't like, or maybe you're just unhappy with. And a lot of people that speak negative about others is because it's really an issue within themselves that needs to be healed or changed. And that's why it's important to heal yourself first, and then you'll start to change the way you talk about yourself, but the way you talk about others. And so it's important not only to look at how you talk to yourself, but other people as well.
Yeah, because how you talk to other people is just probably in a way you talk to yourself, and so it's a reflection. And so that's another practice is you know compliment yourself on things that you do more often.
Hmm.
Congratulate and compliment other people on the things that they're doing. If you find yourself getting upset or angry or sad about something, again, well, all that is it's just old stuff that wants to resurface that hasn't been dealt with yet. And this is the things where people can get stuck with. And this is where Veronica and I specialize in, is helping people to identify and release all of that old baggage that people carry on, all the old hurts, the angers, the resentments, and the fears. And when people are able to release that, it's interesting, and it always amazes me to see the transformation that takes place within them, because they start to feel better. Things start to manifest differently into their life because they are no longer holding on to what they've been holding on to.
Yeah, so it's that, like, the complimenting others is a great example of how you can change things, because now you're complimenting someone else, which makes them feel good, but it also makes you feel good to see the other person kind of light up when you give them a compliment. So it's interesting how the mind works, and then the more you do it, the more you feel good, and you start to feel better about yourself, and then that's when everything starts to change.
And the key is practice. You have to do it daily. At first you're gonna stumble a little bit because you might not catch or be aware of the times you say it because it's unconscious. But the more you catch yourself, you'll be like, oh, I said that. You can even write things down in a little notebook if that helps you. Just catch. Okay, I say these things to myself often. Be mindful of that. And what would be the counteract to that? What would you say differently in a more positive tone that you would say instead, and repeat that until that becomes the new automatic phrase that you say. And since this is we're in 2022 now, it's the brand new year. Everyone's doing their New Year's resolutions. They either want to they want to look better, they want to change their health, they want to do something different with their finances, their business, maybe they want to improve their relationships. But what about the relationship with yourself? I always look at, how can I be better this year? What can I do about me to change me? Because I know the more that I change me and I become a better person, better things will attract into my life.
Yeah, and be aware of how you feel when, say, you see someone driving up with a brand new car. How do you feel on the inside, observing somebody else driving a brand new car? Does it make you feel good, or does it make you feel bad? So pay attention to that as well. And you might not say anything, but you might feel something. So it's that awareness of your feelings as well. And then when you're aware of, like, oh, I'm feeling not so good, and it's like, why do you feel that way, by observing someone else driving around in a new car, or say someone won a prize, and it's like something, maybe it's something that you wanted, and then you feel bad about yourself. That's another awareness to pay attention to.
Yeah,
feelings.
because all those feelings, they definitely can eat you up on the inside and really affect your well-being. And so I've seen this really affect people's physical health because of things that they're carrying on to. And it's just a perception. It's what it represents at a subconscious level. And when we can identify why we feel the way that we do, then that brings a little bit more insight and aha moments. But that's not the only step we have to take. We also have to release that and now replace the old programming with something new, and start to act with a different behavior. And that's where things start to change. And we just can identify what the cause is. That's great, but then you're still having to, you still have the old habits that you're working with. And that is what needs to change.
Yeah, so when you change those bad habits, you start feeling good. The people around you start feeling good. Your vibration changes, and you're more happy. You're more full of joy when you start thinking more positive. You start to attract more positive people into your life, and that's how it works. We were talking to a friend the other day, and he was saying that they call him the Black Cloud, or they used to call him the Black Cloud, because I guess stuff used to always happen, like when he was around, or things like that. But then he looked at the positive side of things, like, well, things always happen when I'm around, but it's because I'm able to handle this situation, which is a good way to look at it. So it's like, okay, well, why do things happen when, like, say you're working, and things, say some chaos happens, and that's a good way to look at it, is like, well, I'm able to handle this situation. I know how to talk to people. And that's what he was saying, that he can talk to people and maybe calm them down, and where it doesn't get blown out of proportion, where somebody else might freak out and not know what to do. At least he's more calm, and is able to desensitize the situation.
Yeah, you all have a gift. You all have a strength in some area, and that you just have to identify that. that there's something that you're really, really good at that can really help people. And there's and other people are probably better at something else, and it's okay that if you're not good at every single thing, just find out what you're good at and change the conversation that's going on in your mind. And then, yes,
I got a thing, or there's a message saying that they can't hear. So I don't know if it's our side or, let me see. Oh yeah, I could hear on my end.
we can hear on our end. Antonio's checking in and says he can't hear. So either check your volume, make sure your media is turned up because it's working on our end.
Yeah.
And again, we never know what happens here when we're doing live, but we check that. In fact, these are practices that we've worked with over the last few years now, and catching ourselves and things that we say. Things that used to bother me before don't bother me as much anymore because I've learned how to change the conversation that goes on in my mind rather than saying, oh my gosh, what's going on? Everything's going wrong. It's like, oh, maybe it's just a glitch and everything's fine. It's live, so what?
Stuff happens.
And stuff happens. And we just keep going. And it's really made it more comfortable doing live streams and talking to people because, we're human beings. We mess up once in a while and it's okay. And so, we're talking about, again, changing and ending negative self-talk. And really focus on this year for yourself is, how can I talk to myself better? How can I treat myself better? And when you do that, you'll start to feel better.
Yeah, and maybe reward yourself every now and then. Like give yourself a treat and make yourself, say, I deserve this. And I've worked hard for this whole week and I deserve a treat at the end of the week. So, little things like that. It doesn't have to be something huge if you don't want, but like little things.
Yeah. And again, we're all human. Mm-hmm. We make mistakes. And you can say, rather than like, oh God, and start beating yourself up for making a mistake, mistakes can be good because mistakes help us to grow. Failures help us to grow because we learn how not to do that for the next time, and it teaches us what to do better. It's like, oh, thank you for the mistakes. This is where gratitude and appreciation comes in. Is thank yourself for all the mistakes. You are here today because of all the habits and things that you've done up until now. And there's some good things and there's some bad things, but there's always ways to correct that, and that's part of the human experience. Is how can we always develop ourselves? Our consciousness rises. We learn different things. We're not the same people that we were 10, 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. We're the same, physical person, but we've learned different experiences. And maybe
actually not even the physical part, because our bodies are constantly changing. Like, the cells change.
That's true.
Like we don't look the same as we did 10 years ago.
I'm not a little baby anymore. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
You were a baby 10 years ago. No.
Maybe.
So, things like that, like our bodies will change and we're not the same person that we were like 30 years ago. So it's like we're different. So yeah.
Not a baby anymore. Sometimes we have a little fun, right? But we're constantly changing. Your body's always growing. Your consciousness is always going to be expanding if you choose to do that. And if you find yourself stuck in the same scenario over and over again, then you have to say to yourself, well, what can I do differently? And it always starts as an internal process first. And we have to change the way that we think. We have to change the way that we feel and our thoughts. And so we hope that has been very helpful for you. And if you have any questions, you can put those here into the stream. And we've been talking about negative self-talk and ending negative self-talk.
Yeah. And, one more thing is you can always go online and listen to these positive affirmations. Sometimes they have videos on positivity. So you go ahead and check that out, look it up, see what resonates with you. And we hope you enjoyed today's show.
And watch the show, because we spread these messages of positivity out there. This is what we're here to help you do with the show, is to help you to grow, to expand, to be a better person inside and out.
All right. So if you enjoyed the show and if you feel someone else can benefit, feel free to share it with someone else. And once again, we are live every Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific. And give us a thumbs up if you like today's show. And please share it with someone else.
And if you'd like to know when we go live each time, we'd like to get reminded. Make sure, whether you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube, make sure you click that little bell icon and you'll get reminded every time that we go live here on the Manifestation Mindset. Again, I'm Dr. Aaron Garcia.
And I'm Veronica Mendez, and we will see you next time. Have a great day.
Bye, guys. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.